garden. If I shut my eyes wherever I am, I can still go into the wilderness. I stand with my eyes shut. Somebody hits me. I fall over. What else is there? Can I go into the garden now?
Well done, Ron. Stay in the garden all afternoon.
Can I go in the garden now?
Do you think we could keep a ferret?
Don't they bite?
Yes, but they catch rabbits.
I don't want to be bitten by a ferret.
You handle them when they're
Stay in
kids.
the garden all afternoon.
Males are called hobs, females Jills, and the young are called kits. They have 3 to 9 in a litter.
9 ferrets?
We could sell some. They also kill rats.
Now, Elliot. There's no immediate need to kill rats. You say
Just been making plans.
In your case.
It was one of the things on my mind last night.
Fine. Get a ferret. I'm not going to look after it. In your own words,
Plenty of room.
that you're committing the offense. There's probably room enough for a ferret. But no need to worry about that. What is all this about Larry?
I'm very fond of him. You're fond of him, too.
Fond, fond. What is all this fond? I'm fond of a lot of people. You have to make choices in life.
And Larry's chosen us.
He'll have to bloody unchoose us.
He's your best friend. Oh, it's just that I think of us here. Snug.
Have you talked about this with him?
Not exactly.
What have you talked about exactly?
I told him that we're both very fond of him.
Did he want to know how fond?
He's very shy. You know him. He's your friend.
He's not some blood brother I have to share everything with.
Look, I'm not saying share everything.
You're certainly saying share something.
I'm saying we can't exclude him. Treat him like a stranger.
When it comes down to it in the end, we are us and he is him. Right?
Well, that's one way of looking at it.
That's the other way of looking at it. You and he are you, and I am somebody else entirely.
So why can't all 3 of us be us? Just for a short while. It would make all the difference.
No.
You'll remember him as the best friend you ever had?
Best friend you ever had.
Oh, don't sulk. Oh, Melvin, please don't sulk. Be friends, eh? You're selfish.
I happen to make plans, too, and my plans don't include having my plans completely ruined by Larry.
We'll think about it.
We will not think about it. Is it something you want very much?
Not if you really can't bear it.
You think I'm being selfish? I think Larry's being selfish. He doesn't care what becomes of us. We could be destroyed.
Look, I'm frightened, too. I even wake up in the night frightened, but I still think we should take the risk. Now, let's not talk about it anymore.
Let's not.
time for the program now, then?
I really must be getting on with this, Veronica. This one's a real sob. Now, Elliot, I think we come to you. You say you think the treatment may not apply in your case. One isn't always the best judge of one's own situation. I think you should let me and the group share your views and tell us in your own words the circumstances that led to your offense. Then perhaps we can all try to help you.
Is this being recorded?
There's no need to worry about that. It's a standard procedure.
It is being recorded. You're going to show it to people.
No harm is going to come to you, Elliot. You can speak quite freely.
Well. Hello, everyone out there, whoever you are.
That's right. Tell us all about yourself.
There's an old lady called Mrs. Drake. She's 67 years old, and she's never been in trouble with the police before. That's going to count in her favor, of course. Also, she's white. Also, she's a householder.
We want to know about you, Elliot.
Indeed, a grandmother and a great-grandmother. The evening paper had a picture of her granddaughter's new baby, and it said it was ashamed of its great-grand, and being a great-grand will count in her favor. Anyway, she's been arrested, and tomorrow she'll be tried in one of the special courts where I was sent down for 15 years. 2 years, 3 months, and a few days ago.
Exactly. But can't you tell us...
Mrs. Drake may get a small fine, or she may get a conditional discharge. Maybe she'll get a probation officer, but she won't be acquitted because she's going to plead guilty. In some ways, she's a very clear-headed old lady. In other ways, confused. She definitely did the thing she's accused of, so she says she must be guilty. What she did was open the front door of her house and step out onto the front step. What she has been charged with is an offense under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Disobeying the instructions of a police officer is obstructing the officer in the course of his duty, and obstructing an officer in the course of his duty is an offense under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Mrs. Drake has always said she is not interested in politics, so she doesn't intend to refuse to plead as a protest. She says she knows she did what she was told not to do, so of course she'll plead guilty. It worries her a bit she'll now have a criminal record. It would worry her more if they withhold Social Security benefits from all those with criminal records, which is one of the promises in the manifesto of the present government. Mrs. Drake is my next-door neighbor, or rather, she's a next-door neighbor of my wife, since I'm in prison and not likely ever to go home. She's a widow, and when her husband had his heart attack, she came next door to us, and we called the ambulance. What's the point of that, she said. We're not the sort they'd have a spare heart for. The first 6 months, she hardly went out. She was always blaming herself for not having been nicer to him when he was alive. Bit by bit, she cheered up. She joined the singing club. She learned macrame. She went to an evening class in basic computer literacy. She made tea at the youth club where my wife worked. And then when all the streets were blocked off in the summer of '96 and the whole place was a no-go area, she said, "Shall I stop coming to the club because I'm white?" Nobody wanted her to leave. She kept on making tea at the club. Nobody really wanted to drink the tea. They just liked having her around. Anyone got beaten up, she'd be in tears.
Perhaps you could say less about Mrs. Drake and more about you, Elliot.
I never had a day's work in my life. I trained as a computer operator, not a single day's work. Oh, what's unusual about that? No, nothing. A lot of people will agree with me that Mrs. Drake isn't a criminal. She's a nice old lady who's confused. Some boys she knew were in trouble in the street, and her affection overcame a better judgment, and she opened the door. They'll say, let her go. Poor old lady, she didn't know what she was doing. But the point is, she did know what she was doing. Because afterwards, she said to my wife, that young sergeant told me to go inside and not open the door. I wasn't going to pay any attention to that. He had no right telling me I can't open my own front door. So the minute he'd shut it, I'd go straight over and open it up wide and step out on the front step beside him. So I said to my wife, I don't think Mrs. Drake is a criminal. I think she made a political protest. She's a political prisoner. Come on, my wife said. Let's not talk about Mrs. Drake. Let's talk about you.
Exactly, Elliot. Why can't we talk about you?
Because the only reason they allowed my wife to visit me was because I had announced my intention to go on hunger strike. Whoever dies next, it might be Trevor or John. I'm going to take his place. And then someone's going to take my place. And it won't stop till they give us political status. So they let my wife have quite a long visit because they hoped she talked me out of it. They hoped that the sight of her and being allowed to put my arms round her would make me realize that life was worth living and I'd give up. They're not really stupid enough to think this. But they have to go through the motions just in case. I always knew life was worth living. I always loved my wife, so of course it had no effect. But I did find it easier to talk about Mrs. Drake. Mrs. Drake was doing a political act, I said to my wife. She was denying the right of the police to tell her not to come out in the public street. All right, it was the impulse of an anarchist just to resist authority. But she doesn't think as we do, that the government is making all political protest into crimes. She's not a member of a banned organization. She's not at war as we are. But still, what she did was a political act. What is criminal about opening the front door? Come on, my wife said. Mrs. Drake said she did wrong. She didn't do what the officer said. She knows she was breaking the law. Breaking the law is a crime, a little small crime. Now, can we talk about you? We only have 10 more minutes. They are accusing Mrs. Drake under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, I said. She'll be in a special court. That means what she has done is special. She should have special status like I should have special status. She should be a political prisoner like I should be a political prisoner. She won't be a prisoner, said my wife. Now, can we talk about you? And just like the boys who were fighting the police in the street, when he told her to stay inside so she wouldn't be a witness, they have been charged with assault. And the ones who were shouting to encourage them have been charged with conspiracy. And the ones who heard the shouting have been charged with conspiracy too. They are all political prisoners, including Mrs. Drake. Including you, said my wife. Yes, I said, of course, including me. Including how many people in this prison. Including how many people in this country. What are the latest figures? Do you know the latest figures? Why was I shouting at my wife? She is very well informed. She always knows the figures. Neither of us are interested in the figures. Are you trying to stop me going on hunger strike? I said, no. She said, well, I said, what is there to talk about? And just before she left, I said, send my love to Mrs. Drake and tell her she's a political prisoner. And my wife said she won't listen to that. She said she's a criminal. She said her father was a criminal, and she never approved of that. But what is wrong with being a criminal with the country and the state it's in now? So, I stopped trying to educate Mrs. Drake and sent her my love.